What's up guys, YST here and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today, we are live on the test server to not showcase only Morag Bronzelock, but the utility of a clan boss team that I've put together and put a ton of hours into trying to choose the best options and different synergies. And I think I've settled on a way to showcase this in the best way possible. Now, the theory was off the back of the clan boss draft, where Hades was using this champion to survive a very long time using the strengthen buff, where she stands as the only epic champion as of today that can do it on a 3-turn cooldown alongside some really cool utility with her kit. But what I wanted to do was remove the shield buffs and just deal raw damage from the clan boss, and we managed to reach almost 100 turns in this clan boss team, which absolutely blew my mind. So the main takeaway from this video I want you guys to see is that you could survive a pretty long time in the Demon Lord without relying on increased defense on specific AoEs and just in the right synergies altogether and the right buffs and debuffs alongside that. Okay, let's just break it down. So Morag Bronzelock, if I just want to pull up hellhades.com real quick, just to give you guys a glimpse of what I'm talking about. So as you can see displayed on this page, this is the list of all of the current strengthened champions from the epic rarity. And all of them on this list, I've gone through on the index to check them out before making this video. And they all have that 4-turn cooldown condition, meaning that 4-to-3 ratios are necessary to place that where you want it to. But Morag comes in on that 3-turn, which makes her very cool, and a big shout out to Ash for pointing this out in a video as well. And if we head into the actual page for the champion itself, she has some pretty good damage multipliers, right? We got a 3.9 on the A2 alongside the strengthen buff, which is good for War Master damage because it's not just placing a buff, you're also hitting. She then has a 2-time hit on the A1, which is nice, and then a counter-attack feature, or ally attack should I say, on the A3 there, on a 4-turn cooldown. So if I just take this off now, and we just head into the kit, we just broke that down briefly on the page, but the ally attack is what makes this very cool here, because she's going through, you can heal off some leech if you're placing that, or just getting some more damage out if you've got lifesteal sets on, and it tends to be a very cool skill here. Granted, it's only 2 random allies, so you're not bringing the full team with somebody like a Farrakhan, but the strengthening is the main thing here. She also has the Testamite passive where she can counterattack herself whilst under a strengthen buff placed by herself. So if you don't have the luxury of a counterattack champion, there's a way for her to go free and counterattack, granted you've got this buff up at all times. So hopefully we can showcase some of that in today's video. And the way that we built it today is in that 4-to-3 ratio in a Guardian set. We're trying to absorb as much damage as possible whilst dealing some damage with amplifying her defense. And the main thing that we wanted to do here is get all of my champions up to 4.2k defense, so we don't have to rely on increased defense on our champions. And that was the big takeaway from the clan boss draft that Hades kind of showed us. We got around 241 speed to enable this, just to keep the ally attack consistent, but you don't need to have her at a 4-to-3 to be useful. You just lose out on exactly where the ally attack is going out every single time, because you don't get the double turn, which I'll showcase later. We got a pretty good crit rate and crit damage. We couldn't optimize completely at the speeds that I'm going, especially in the Guardian build. We don't need accuracy, which is an upside. She has no debuffs in her kit. And then just some resistance for if you want to use it elsewhere in the game, right? It was just mainly some stats that came into fruition. Masteries. We've gone for War Master, of course. We're trying to deal that damage, right? Let me move myself out of the way. War Master damage, of course. And then we've gotten the defensive tree to try and counterattack. So when the stun turns happen, and then she loses a bit of HP, as she will be my stun target today, she's able to go through and heal off the leech that I'm placing with Versulf The Grim, who is going to be my next champion here. Now, this is the champion that I've always wanted to showcase on the channel, just never had the chance, but he brings in a very cool role for this team. Once again, in Guardian builds. But what he does is he places an ally protection and increased defense on all allies for 2 turns. The increased defense, like, it's going to be on the AoE 2. I'm not going to be using it on AoE 1 at all. That's just going to defeat the whole object of this video. But the main thing is the ally protection here, right? But the increased defense in general, guys, very strong to have it in one ability on a 3-turn cooldown. But it's mainly the leech as well with the Reign of Sorrow, because he places that leech debuff. And if we can place this on AoE 2, it allows us to heal back up so Morag never dies under the ally protection buff that I've speed tuned her in. So pretty cool champion, also has some utility for provokes, etc. for other places in this game. So once again, we've gone for like some defense percent, some HP percent, trying to optimize there. We've gone for 77k HP, 4k defense, so the increased defense is actually helping out the build of Versulf here. We've got 177 speed, so not fast at all. We're going at a 1-to-1 ratio. Crit rate and crit damage we're not worrying about. And then some accuracy stats just to place that leech debuff. Mastery is a very similar thing to the Morag, defense tree, and then some War Master. Next champion is going to be a Godseeker Aniri. You could use any extender here. I just felt like she would be fitting for this team because we're keeping with the theme of the healing with the Guardian sets, right? And she's very cool to play that role for us. Guardian builds once again, guys. You can get this from the Griffin. But the main thing is just the extending of our buffs. We want to extend the values of those ally protections. So on the stun turn, no matter who takes that stun, you're able to tank that up from one of our ally protectors here. So that was kind of one of the main roles, to be fair, but we didn't need an extender if I didn't want to have that ally protection on our stun target, which is actually very crucial in surviving the turn limits that we're going to be taking here. Masteries are very similar once again, guys. I'm not going to go through it every single time. And she was going at a 52,000 HP. We want to have a bit of HP on our champions just to kind of heal the best we can off the Guardian. 4.1k defense, 173 speed, slowest in the bunch. Crit rate and crit damage is pretty optimized, and the rest doesn't really matter here. Next champion is going to be Riho Bonespear. Now, she can be replaced if you want to replicate this team. It's not a problem. But it's just that she brings in so many roles, one of them being decreased crit rate. And I really want to show you guys the value of this because decreased crit rate, the boss is going to have a 15%, right? And she mitigates 30% crit rate with this A2, alongside decreased defense, decreased attack, and HP burn and weaken. So bringing in all of the debuffs with that decreased crit rate. Now, if you guys want to check out How Hades' video, he was using a... what's his name? The Cloud Beast Feeder to enable a 2-to-1 ratio speed tune and optimize as much damage as possible. But in this 1-to-1 ratio, she's able to put out everything we need and we don't have to get those bad crits. Granted, we don't get the 3% resisted in the longevity of the fight, right? She also brings in a block debuffs and a heal. So straight before the stun happens, we can place that up. We don't get stunned, and then we can also have the heals as well, just to kind of heal back up if we didn't manage to do it in the fight, alongside some continuous heal buffs on target allies. So pretty cool champion for the mix, mainly for the decreased crit rate is what I'm trying to show here. We've got the offense and the support tree trying to extend the value of these debuffs. I think that's very important for Riho Bonespear because it won't be up for the entirety of the fight with it being a 1-to-1 ratio. Next champion is going to be a Skullcrusher. Masteries are very similar. I should be showing you the Riho Bonespear stats, my bad guys. 64,000 HP, 3.6k defense, so the increased defense is amplifying her defense in this team, so it's not a complete waste of space for the Versulf to be in the team. 183 speed, so she's the fastest out of my 1-to-1 team champions. Crit rate and crit damage pretty optimized, and enough accuracy to place our debuffs. So yeah, back into the Skullcrusher. Mastery is very similar, guys, to the Morag. And we've gone for a stalwart build because we're trying to mitigate as much heat for the ally protection of the Versulf so we don't get completely wiped at any given time, right? And he also has the unkillable buff, so we don't have to worry about that up until turn count 50. And overall stats for him is 66k HP, 4.3k defense, 191 speed. Crit rate and crit damage we're not really worrying about here. And then the accuracy and resistance we're not worrying about once again. And just a small disclaimer before we get into the team that all of these champions are fully booked. All of the cooldowns are optimized. So if you're trying to replicate something like this, it's definitely worth booking all of these champions that you're seeing today. But it's mainly the utility of the team, guys. Like, I understand not everybody has a Riho or a counterattack or a Versulf. I just want you to see that you can survive pretty long bringing in these specific conditions, even if it's not a Morag in particular. I just felt like she was one of the best to showcase with it being a 3-turn cooldown. Now, I just wanted to bring up the actual speech of this team that I put together. I did have ones with a double 4-to-3 ratio champions, and I was trying to amplify double ally attack with a Farrak in the Fat, or using so many teams, guys, it's unreal. Like, I think I put too much more time than I needed to, but I felt like this team is the prime example of what I'm trying to show, and I'm happy to showcase this for you guys. So as you see here on AOB1, sorry, once it's speed tuned, we actually lose increased defense on 2 of our champions, or 3 of them should I say, with that being Skullcrusher, Godseeker Aniri, and our Morag. And I really want to show how much the strengthen of just reducing damage whilst optimizing 4.2k defense on our champion builds we don't need increased defense here. And this opens up the role for so many of you guys who might not want to bring in an increased defense champion and just an ally protection and extend it with the value of a Godseeker Aniri. And as long as you got the full buff coverage from those specific skills, you don't need the increased defense to survive those longer battles here. So we'll be showcasing that. We've got counterattack as well, so we're not going to see the true value of Morag's passive, but you'll see it proc with the passive. You just can't do double counterattack in these teams, which I think would be pretty cool, but unfortunately it's not working as I thought it may be. We've got all of the buffs and debuffs aligned. As you see here on AoE 2, we've got counterattack on everybody, we've got increased defense, strengthens, it's got a full coverage on everybody. And then on the final hit just before the stun, this tune was very optimal because no matter who takes the stun here, everybody has block debuffs and everybody has an ally protection up. So we're going to be able to soak that up and in as many ways as possible, and it will hopefully should plan out exactly how I intended it to. Yeah, so this is here, guys. I'm just going to take myself off the screen for anybody that wants to screenshot this. So boom. If you guys want to do a little screenshot and maybe alter this yourself or in any ways you want to, that's the speed tune there. And here we go. Let's just go in, take off this image now. We're going to the Clan Boss team. So I'm going to try and walk you guys through this, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of the run, and then we'll showcase a bit of Morag in the faction wars for anybody that just wants to see her there for some extra utility. So let's get into it. I'll show the presets straight after the run as well. So here we're going to open up with the strengthen and the counter attack. And boom. And then on this part here, we're just going to do A1. So it's kind of like muscle memory. Once you do it a few times, it's just like, you just do it, you go into the battle, it's completely fine. Boom. Counterattacks. Pretty nice. And then here, all you want to do is, you just want to open up with the block debuffs. We're going to do an A3 here. We need to make that distance between the skills because of the 4-to-3 ratio. And then here we're going to do an A2 with the Versulf The Grim. So, boom. A1s and A1s. And then Versulf is going to take the stun now, but we've got it, so Morag's going to take it later on into the battle. Now from here, we're going to open up with the Strengthen. Okay, and then we're going to do the A2 of Riho Bonespear. We're going to do the decreased crit rate and all of those amazing debuffs. And then we're going to do A1s. A1s here. And then counterattack. A1's going to go through, and then it's completely auto from here. And you're going to see that all of the buffs will be aligned at any given time. And as you see here, the strengthen is only going to be up, but there's going to be no increased defense on AoE 1. There's the second ally protection. So, boom. And then here, Morag should be taking this next one. All of the counterattacks are going to fall off. The heal's going to go up there. Ally attack's going to go through now, because the leech is usually going to be up at that time here, once it's fully optimized in the speed tune. And there we go, going exactly where we want it, because everyone else has got counterattack. It's kind of going to deter that. And then hopefully now, and boom, we're good to go. And also, one big takeaway you have to witness is that there is no brimstone blessings, there is no poison in this team, and it's just basically raw damage with the right buffs and debuffs. And you're going to see how much turn count we're going to reach. And it actually blew my mind, because I died a bit early at first with the other team with the Farrak and the Fat, which actually worked pretty well, but we died very early, and that kind of wasn't what I wanted to show. So I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of this run here. I'll come back to you towards the end, break down the presets, and then go into a faction wars run. Hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did creating it. Let's go. So we're now just turning into a turn count 91, guys. And did you see how long we're surviving? No increased defense on AoE 1 with most of our champions, purely based on strengthen. It just shows the pure value of this. No shield buffs to protect us as well. That will be a big playing field. If you can implement shield into a team like this, you could probably look at maybe 120 to 130 turns. But because we don't have any shields, it's basically just raw HP damage going through with all of this mitigation of decreased crit rate and strengthen buffs. So hopefully this can really help some of you guys out in building some of your teams. We managed to lose a champion there. Unfortunately, we didn't heal to the value. But if we managed to heal a bit more there, we'd have been completely fine and just keeping this going pretty much. And boom. Pretty much closing up here. I was like, oh, come on, can we reach 100 turns? And then we just fell short at around turn count 67, I believe. Yeah, there we go. 67. 97, sorry. And there we go. So not the craziest damage in the world. Once again, that's not what I was trying to showcase. It was more the team concept more than the damage itself. But there's so many ways to add layers to this. Add some brimstone, add some more cruelty, some phantom touch. There is one champion in this whole team with blessings, and that is it. Like, imagine if we had brimstone on Versulf or Riho here. We'd have been looking at like an 85 million team in this 95 turns or whatever it was in this composition. But really cool, man. Morag coming through at 21 million. So for raw damage hits, actually pretty impressive from her, outperforming Godseeker Aniri, who's traditionally known as a good damage dealer with the way especially that I've built her today. Versulf The Grim and Riho Bonespear pumping out some decent damage as well, and Skullcrusher as to be expected with 7 million damage. Now, if we just briefly head into the save team presets, we can just showcase how we got this set up. Although we showed it earlier with the speed tuning as well, but it's always easier to show it in a visual format. Well, we're going to be doing a first priority on the ally protection, and then we're going to have the Reign of Sorrow on a second priority, and we're going to be, with the manual setup, this will all be good to go. On Morag Bronzelock, we're doing a first priority on the ally attack, and a second priority, and an opener with the outrage. And I just want to say, guys, if you're going for like a 1-to-1 ratio speed tune, right? And you don't want to go to 4-to-3, this is just the way that I was mid-maxing to make sure the ally attack is going out in every 3-turn cycle. Well, you could still do this on a 1-to-1, but you just have to make sure that you first priority the outrage so the Raider's captain doesn't overlap into that skill set there. So that's very important. 1-to-1 ratio, first priority on the A2, making sure that with your setups, you've got it in the right spot. And then second priority on the Raider's captain with the ally attack. So whenever it is available, it just goes through and places that for you. On Godseeker Aniri, we're just going to be doing a first priority on Quest for the Meaning. And with Riho Bonespear, a first priority on the A2 and a second on the Perfect Body. Skullcrusher, first priority on the ally attack. And then you'll all be good to go in a Clan Boss team of this speed tuning. So let's just have a bit of fun in the faction wars. Just to wrap up this video, let's get right into it. Who should we put in here? Maybe take out a Herndig. Maybe let's put a Morag in. And there we go. Anything else we want to change here? No, I think that's fine, right? I would love to like try this team again. Like maybe put an Underpriest Brogany in there, block debuffs and stuff, and then bring in like a, I don't know, a Draco morph. There's so many opportunities for this composition that I would love to try, but I put way much more time than I needed to. The main thing that I wanted to do, right, was build a team for the rabbit in a Ridelvark. That video should still be coming up soon, but this was just something I was doing in the works because I need to build up 3 4-to-3 ratio champions. And then in the meantime, I was like, ooh, maybe we can actually, while we're on the test server, showcase Morag in a comp that I can't afford to do with silver on my main account. So really cool, right? But let's see a bit more of Morag in action here. Did you do the ally attack yet? Oh, look at her. Like a little leaping bunny. It's pretty funny. In arena, she's actually pretty decent as well. Unfortunately, we've got a bunch of platinum teams in the test server from all the content creators. But in like gold 5 and stuff, she has a lot of views. You can play some strengthen, go through and leap through with her 2-time hitter. And she could do some relatively good damage for you guys. And bringing that strong form of damage mitigation with the strengthen. Pretty overall great champion for you guys to build out there. And if you pull her early game, definitely implement her into your Clan Boss teams, guys. You'll see a really cool value from her. Well, that's going to be all for today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate that a lot. We hopefully get the Rise of our video out in the next 2 to 3 days. I need to optimize exactly what I'm trying to do, and it will be a very similar theme to what you've seen today, trying to survive as long as possible and optimizing the damage of Rise of Arg to see his damage more than other champions. Because I always like to showcase the champion itself more than the team around it making all the damage, so that should be pretty cool. And I'll catch you guys in a video soon. Peace.